I'm here with JAL, Director of South of Heaven. His film just premiered tonight at the Toronto After Dark Film Festival. And my first question to you, it was an international premiere here tonight. It's the first time it's screened in front of an audience. And what did you think of the audience response to the film?
I thought it was good. I thought, like, for what it was, that people seemed to dig it and stuck around for the Q&A, which is always a positive sign. When you get up on stage and you look out there and there's actually people still in the seats, so I felt good about that.
Now this movie's a real mesh of genres and characters and influences, and I've heard comparisons to the Coen brothers, Tarantino, Dick Tracy. How would you describe your film?
I feel weird comparing it to people that are still alive. So I would move more to like Sam Fuller's Naked Kiss and stuff like that. But I definitely am a big fan of Tarantino and the Coen brothers, and would say I'm not worthy, but I'm glad when I get a shout out like that. But I looked at more like Poverty Row, Noirs by Anthony Mann, stuff like that.
So how did you first conceive of this idea?
I was graduating undergrad at the AFI, and I wanted to get going as quick as I can on the film, because I'd met some people at the Fine Institute that were good at making movies, and so I wanted to use their talents while the getting was good. So I wrote a script as quick as possible, and then we went and made this movie. So that's pretty much what it was.
How long was the process of writing the screenplay?
Oh, it was less than a month. And like I said, I was reading a lot of Sam Shepard and Tom Stoppard, so that's why the monologues are long in the film. But I was heavily influenced by plays, and if you see the flick, you'll see there's some fake backdrops and very stagey, very much like a play, which is always great when you go to see a movie and it's just like a play.
Well, it was like Reservoir Dogs.
That's what the people love, yeah.
That was like Reservoir Dogs,
that's
like a
true.
play, though.
Yeah, that is true.
So, since you wrote the screenplay so quickly, when you were on the set, were you doing a lot of writing, a lot of revision, or not really?
No, that mainly happened in editing. While we were shooting, we were just trying to get as many pages as we could. We had a quick shoot. We had a lot of pages to get done, and we were trying to get it done as quick as possible. And most of the refining and the fixes came in editing.
Now, the look of the film is like very distinctive. Now, when you were writing that, was that already in your mind, like how distinctive the film would look, or is that something that happened when you brought on a lot of collaborators?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll ever do that again, but like when I was doing shorts and I did this feature, I doodle a lot while I'm writing, and so a lot of like what the characters look like came even before they started speaking, I guess you would say. So like I was heavily influenced by cartoons like Tex Avery's Droopy Dog series, where you'd see like a wolf character, which Mad Dog's his look is based on, and the vaudeville, all of that that you see with the hoods came from just like the shticky stuff. My take on like watching a bunch of the film noirs, or even like Orson Welles' The Trial, or a bunch of these gangster movies where you'd have like hoods and how they have like a rhythm between each other that seems not very realistic and much. It's like a vaudeville act. So that's why I hit the nail on the head and dressed them up like vaudeville actors.
And you got a fair amount of independent name actors in this film. How did that come to be?
I wrote the parts for a lot of them. I wrote for Alina Lowenson. I had a huge crush on her when I was younger, and I saw her do a dance to Sonic Youth's Cool Thing and How Heartly Simple Man. Really wanted to meet her. She was one of the people that I wrote for. In Shea Wiggum, I'd seen him in All the Real Girls play a character called Tip, and I just fell in love with him, and I wrote Mad Dog for him, and how I thought he spoke. And Thomas J. Ryan, who was in a Hal Hartley movie called Henry IV, played Henry IV. I wrote for him. So that's mainly what it came out. And I ended up getting a casting director because I was in Los Angeles, where they have casting directors. And through a friend at AFI, I met a casting director named Annie Roberts, and she actually contacted everyone I had on the list, and I got to meet them and showed them some doodles, and they agreed to be in the film. So I was very lucky.
And talking to you earlier, you did a lot of the I think most of the film was shot on sets.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was good in one sense that it was controlled, but it's not like I had much control because it was very low budget and very short. So I wouldn't do it again, but it was a nice experiment. It was like I said, I looked at a lot of old like first films from people like Robert Aldrich, and even Anthony Mann and these guys who did film noirs back in the day, where they would have fake sets, and I just thought it seemed like a good idea to shoot everything on location that was just in one building. Looking back on it, I wouldn't do it again. But it was a nice experiment. So I have fake backdrops, rear screen projection, all the stuff that's that you would think of when you think of film noirs.
You told a funny story in the Q&A about the fake backdrops, how you can only 2 places in America where you can buy them.
Like I had for some reason, I don't know why, I assumed that backdrops were everywhere. Like you go to Walmart and get a backdrop. But that's not the case. You go online, there's like 2 places where you can get backdrops, and usually for high school productions, and you got like 2 choices, the ocean or the desert. And so it was a good thing that I actually wrote scenes that took place in the desert, or I would have had to have everything take place on the ocean.
Which I don't think would have worked for this film, maybe.
Not at all.
But the score is quite amazing. Can you talk about the composer?
Yeah, Russ Howard is amazing. And he used all organic instruments. That was like the one thing I said, I don't want any synthesizer, I don't want any Michael Mann shit, though I love Michael Mann shit. I didn't want it for this, I didn't want any of that cheap stuff, because the movie was already so low budget. I was like, if we do like, if we have it all synthesized out, it's gonna make it even more low budget. So he actually did an organic score with actual instruments, and he based a lot of it on some Giallo soundtracks. I gave him the soundtrack to Torso, a Speedy Western called Ben and Charlie, and of course it's like he brought to it, like, because he loves horns and stuff like that. So he brought some Henry Mancini. So I always like to compare it to Mancini meets Morricone. And if you've seen the film and if you hear the soundtrack, you'll know what I mean. It's got a lot of Mancini stuff in there, and it's got a lot of Italian Morricone like B-movie stuff, which is cool.
Now, for such a low independent film, I have to say, watching it tonight, the FX was amazing in it.
Yeah, I would give that to all Lino Stavoli. He had no money, and the only assistant he had was his pregnant wife, and they did almost no guidance to me except pictures that I drew that I said, please make this happen, and he did his best. I thought he did a great job, but yeah, he did everything himself, including all the molds and everything. It was amazing. I don't know how he did it.
So, what's the future of South of Heaven as we speak today? A lot of distribution.
I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. I get, when people tell me to talk to people, I talk to them. I've gotten some emails, and I've been in contact with people, and on the phone and whatnot, and we'll see what happens. But I leave that to the producers. I'm just glad that I get to go to foreign countries like Canada, and they send me out here, and I get to go do that. That's cool.
So, what's next for JL?
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm gonna try to finish this beer.